So find a lot of love in a little room. I'd enjoy the majesty of a simple tune. When javelins or two come crashing down, pretend they hit you like a cartoon, and maybe they won't hurt you. Those javelins or two. Let's do it on the guitar! On the drums, that's Whaley! From a homeless shelter on the bass, let's hear from Pete! All the way from Korea! Nice. Let's hear it for you. MJ on piano. Can we get a little dancing going? I met her at an Irish bar. It was called the Nasty Mick. I was 19 years old. She was 66. I walked up to her just like a cowboy. She sat there on a white horse. I put my hand on top of her hand. She said, "I'm divorced, of course, come on." What you gonna do when it gets too hot? What you gonna do when it gets too hot? What you gonna do when it gets too hot for you? said, I used to work in securities. I said, that's funny, I'm full of insecurities. She said, my ex-husband hasn't touched me in 14 years. I said, I love your ears. She said, if I told you I want to dance in the moonlight. I said, all I got is cheap beer and neon. She said, you want to know my son's name? He's about your age. I said, that's okay. She said, why not? His name is Leon! Leon! What you gonna do when it gets too hot? What you gonna do when it gets too hot? What you gonna do when it gets too hot? What you gonna do when it gets too hot? What you gonna do when it gets too hot? What you gonna do when it gets too hot? Now, look at the life you chose. The bloom has fallen from the rose. She reaches for her clothes. This boy realizes what he just had, and he feels incredibly sad. He won't have her again. But how did it come to this? That a month possesses from full to empty. The chocolate good at the stake. The bond is up to navigate. They were told, until death do us part.